Well, first off, I'd like to thank you all for the invitation. Supervisor Louis Boitano, it's been my privilege to serve District 4 Supervisor for 5 terms. By the way, fishing licenses were 50 cents in about 1900, so you're telling me. I'd like to start by saying I came from the private business sector. My family had a business for 38 years in Sutter Creek, a hardware store, a furniture store, a plant store, grocery store, and I ran between all those things. Then after that, I moved on and I worked for the water agency for about 8 years. And then I started my political career. I had a chance to be appointed to the Sutter Creek City Council for 3 years. And then later on, I got out of that because it was getting to be a little bit of a conflict between my work at the water agency, and so I became a Sutter Creek Fire Protection District. God, I can't think of the term. Commissioner, thank you. And I did that for 3 years, and then I ran for the Board of Supervisors, and I said earlier I've been there for 5 terms. Some of the moments that I've, gone through that haven't been real happy ones was when we shut down our sawmill here. That was really tough to lose all those jobs. And then, that's leading to some big problems up in the forest. The timber production is way down. The spotted owl had a lot to do with that, and it's just been, fuel ladders are increasing, and it's just a big problem. Other things is, it was really sad to see Preston's school shut down, and we give it a good fight on that, but their mind's made up, and I think it's been made up for a long time. Some of the highlights during my term was when I first got on the board, we were able to negotiate the transfer of the county hospital to Sutter Health. And that was actually a pretty good thing because there are still a lot of counties out there that have county hospitals, and a lot of them are in serious financial trouble, so that worked out pretty good. We have a really nice hospital over there, although it was in the news the other day, but it's a state-of-the-art hospital, and I spent a little time there a couple of years ago, and it was very nice, good service there. Trying to think of some of the other highlights of my career. One of the things I worked on for almost 19 years was to bring consolidated fire to the county, and we've actually achieved some of that in the last year or so. Not everybody's on board, but we're working towards that, and we're hoping everybody will get on board, and that'll be a great thing. Other things going on in my district, as you know, the Sutter Creek bypass came to fruition a few years ago. It's hard to believe that that project took about 50 years. And it did. Originally when I was a little kid, I remember all the old timers talking about, we can't have a bypass, it's going to shut down the businesses in town, we can't do that. And so they had the funding at one time, and unfortunately they used it, and they built that road between Highway 16 and I.O. And that was the bypass, went bye-bye for a lot of years. Well, finally, we were able to get the funding, and we did a modified version, not as big a bypass as we probably could have used, but it seems to work really well. As a resident of Sutter Creek, it's a lot nicer on the weekends when you're out there and you can get out onto the highway. So that was a really good thing. Now my constituency in Pine Grove is facing that uphill battle because they're starting with a citizens advisory committee to work on their bypass, and they're looking at alternatives, and they're going to try to bring those into the local transportation commission for them to review and finally boil it down and make a choice. And it probably won't be in my lifetime before we see a bypass up there, but you have to get started sooner or later and do all the analysis, and it's a big step, so I wish him luck. Like I say, I probably won't be around. other than that, I guess that's pretty much what I have to say, and thank you. Between my district and Amador City is a Sutter Gold Mine, and they're going to come before the county very soon. They're getting ready to build the mill part of that, and hopefully they're going to start construction on the mill this summer. And of course I'll be stepping down when it comes before the board because my whole family works there. My son works there. He's a miner. My daughter is the environmental compliance officer there, and my wife works for a separate company which runs the tours there. And over the last 10 or 12 years there, they've had over 500,000 people go on those tours. So it's kind of, but the good news is, if the tour is shut down, but they're still going to provide 120 jobs when the thing gets started, so I think it's going to be a positive thing for the county. So I guess my wife will be looking for a job, but that's the way those things go. Thank you.
So I was in the process of moving up here as a city boy, you know, in Fiddletown, we had some kind of street fair or something, and a couple of candidate tables there. One of them was for Mr. Rondeau. So I went by and said, I'd say hello to Mr. Rondeau. His wife came out and chatted for a few minutes. And I said, well, when do you want to say hello? And funny, Mr. Rondeau came out and said, oh, hi. I said, hi, my name is Austin Ford. You know, it's nice to meet you. My name's David Running, you know all that. Well, yeah. Well, this will be interesting. I have to tell you, I have never heard such pleasant comments or been so surprised myself by the receptivity to this supervisor in this county as I have been for Brian and Ella. So, Brian, where the heck are you?
Well, it's a pleasure to be here tonight, and I'm real glad to see you folks here. Don't take no offense, but I wish you'd been here 20 years ago. We probably wouldn't have near as hard a battle fight. Because what you're seeing, not just in this county, not just in your cities, but in the nation, is we've got problems. Didn't happen the last year, 2 years, 10 years. It's been coming for a long time. Got something here to read you. The budget should be balanced. The treasury should be refilled. Public debt should be reduced. The arrogance of officialdom should be tempered and controlled. And the assistance to foreign lands should be curtailed. Lest the United States become bankrupt, people must again learn to work instead of living on public assistance. Cicero, 55 BC. What you need to do is take the help of the United States and put it in their own. So this battle's, maybe it's just one of those things that you just got to fight. Maybe it's what humans gravitate towards if we're not careful. Getting down to the county, you know, when I first came on board, I said we had some real hard times coming. I don't think everybody believed it. About a year afterwards, Terry Daly, who was our CAO, she came to my office and sat down, and she said, this thing, it's for real, isn't it? I said, Terry, yeah, I think we don't have any idea how bad it is. I think it's going to be flat ugly. And it's here. And they're saying, they keep saying, oh, it's gone away. Well, then they say, well, a year later, well, now it's really gone away. Joe Biden said the recession is officially over, and I believe it. Probably closer to depression then. But anyway, food stamp issuance in this county, I want to say about the last, off the top of my head, it's roughly 2.5 years or so. It's went from about 160,000, and now it's over 400, and I want to say 10,000. You know, the line looks like that. It's going up. Now maybe the people are doing a better job of bringing them in, giving them food stamps, or maybe the need's greater. There's a lot of people lost their jobs. Part of what it comes down to is we've been fed this line about a service-based economy is the way to go. You know, there's a lot of service jobs out there. They also need people producing product. Product's very important. And we're shutting off access to land, we're shutting off access to resources. As a government, we're making it very hard for people to operate. I see it all over the place. For instance, up the National Forest are doing their planting rules right now. And they decided that not only are they going to analyze all the mammals and the species, but they're going to analyze, taking into account all the invertebrates. And the invertebrates, I mean, I don't know what they all are. You're talking ticks, fungi, worms, bugs, and they say they have very little information on them. So I see coming down the line now, when the Forest Service goes out to do something, and they do their analysis, somebody's going to come in soon and say, hey, you didn't analyze a little, 1/10 of an inch worm that nobody's seen before, and they'll sue the Forest Service, and under the Equal Access to Justice Act, if they win, which they probably will because there's a bug out there that somebody knows there or didn't analyze fully, they get all their attorney fees. And that's why you see a lot of these environmental lawsuits against action somebody takes, they get attorney's fees. Anyway, we won't belabor that point, but I think what I'm saying, we need to get politically active. We've got too many mandates, and that's something this board has got to deal with. We have unfunded mandates coming out all the time. You're telling the county, you have to do this, you have to do that, and you have to implement this, and they don't send money. In the legislature, they don't seem to get it. We don't need any more rules. We've got enough. Portantino, a while back, was trying to pass legislation mandating how cities and counties operate their animal control. And those people in Sacramento, I think, got a lot more important issues right now than telling counties and cities how you operate your animal control. Recently we asked for a declaration of a disaster for this county for the roads. We got a lot of road damage from winter storms. Hopefully we get that. It would help us access funds to repair some of the roads. 8885, the septic issue, that's still out there. They're looking at doing some new rules. They're coming out for April 4th. They released them. They have their preliminary draft. There's going to be public scoping, comments, hearings, and if you go to the State Water Resource Control Board, there'll probably be when they're having those meetings. Those affect you because that affects on-site wastewater disposal system, which i.e. your septic tank, your sewage system. That's something you may want to look at, you may want to comment on, because if you don't, some stuff may come down the line that will really affect you in the future dollar-wise. So I'd advise you to go on there and comment on it. And they've also changed their course from doing regulations to doing policy. Policy is a lot simpler. Regulations, you have to do like a full-blown EIR, go through the whole process. Under policy, they just do it's a supplemental environmental document, and that happens rather quick. Also, the Williamson Act, it appears like it's been defunded from the state. So if the county's going to keep that, we may have to backfill those funds that we were getting from the state if we want to keep the Williamson Act. Also, a lot of you folks, I'm sure, have heard about the carbon rules on diesel exhaust. That is something that's coming at the county like a freight train. Actually, it's coming out a lot of private businesses too. And I think people really don't realize what the cost and effect on that is going to be on private business and on the county. In the county, our heavy equipment fund is minimal. We just don't have the money at all. And under that, the CARB rules, I'm not sure the date, it's 2014, they made it a little bit longer, they keep changing the benchmark. You're going to have to either update your equipment to 2008 and newer, or put on all these particulate traps. Particulate traps run from $10,000 to $25,000. They make a lot more expense to maintain that equipment. And if you buy the new vehicle that has the equipment, it still has to be maintained. Talking to a dealer's employee in Sacramento, Kenworth, he says figure operating costs on these new rigs 40% more. And you're talking to either to retrofit our equipment is very expensive. To buy new is millions of dollars we don't have. So what can we do about that? I'll leave it up to them. But no, it's actually it's a really big problem. Also, let's see here. If you're interested in National Forest, they're having some meetings that are called the Sierra Cascade Dialogue. And you go on the website there, they have meetings in different areas. I think the next one's going to be in West Point, which is the way it's looking. And that's how they set kind of the future goals for the National Forest, Sierra Cascade Dialogue, and they take input. And the disconcerting thing was I didn't see a whole lot of people from this area at this meeting. I saw a lot of people from the Bay Area and other places giving their input, what they wanted, and I think it would conflict with yours. And some of us need to be here. As I said before, mandates and regulations are just killing us. And I think it's a message you folks have to tell. You're elected assembly person, you're elected senator. Give them that message. They need to hear it. I've had one elected official staff tell me, well, there's people with a different opinion. So, I mean, your opinion needs to get out there. Oh, let's see here. We got something else we want to touch on. Give me a second. So I report the Sierra Nevada Conservancy paid to have put out, and they're going to use it as a position paper to go and talk to legislators. And a lot of supervisors at this meeting I went to were real unhappy with Sierra Nevada Conservancy. One item's report had that said we had a lot of stuff that was really, I believe, detrimental to rural areas. Basically said everybody should leave rural areas. You should all leave rural areas so cities can have cleaner water. Because then there'll be no effect on their water. We live here. Yeah, there's going to be probably a little effect. And that report said climate change is evidenced by the depleted snowpack in the Sierras. The report was done about 6 months ago, so maybe a year ago. And there's another item of interest too. McComb Wild and Scenic. There's been a big push to get wild and scenic designation on the McComb River. And there's a lot of people out there talking about how it's cute and fuzzy and friendly, and it'll bring in local control. How does a congressional designation on a river bring in local control? It takes whatever semblance of local control may be in the river, and it takes it away. There's a real good sales pitch being done on the wild and scenic. If you read up on that, it's a lot more than just a little designation. If you can go off that river, because you have tributaries, and pretty soon they say, well, we must go beyond the wild and scenic designation because what happens in these tributaries affects the water quality of that river. And there's a lot to it. Also, kind of off subject, but something maybe you might want to talk to the legislators and ask them why they're not working on it and making a stink. But I've talked to secretarial staff at Mule Creek, I've talked to guards at Mule Creek, and supposedly I hear there's about approximately 50 inmates in sex change operations or had them at Mule Creek. They're getting female hormone shots and psychological counseling and stuff along that line. About $10,000 per inmate is what I'm told, per inmate. And that comes from guards that work there and people that work there. And the question I ask is why? We can't afford to fix the roads. It seems like our schools are having a lot of issues. Also, I hear those people down there, I hear they get choice beef. And I hear they get better grade produce. They're the convict, not me or not you. So maybe that's something, and I've asked a lot of people, I've been trying to get documentation on it, and so far I haven't been able to get it. I've asked elected officials, and they haven't got it. So maybe I'll have to do a FOIA, but I'd like to know that answer. I've had a lot of people, more than one, probably about 10, tell me that's the case. With that, also our county fair, it's probably too late now, it's going down. I think the governor signed the bill, but it's lost its funding from the state. And I don't know what we're going to do about the county fair, because it's probably roughly 25% of the funding to that county fair. And that's, I'm worried about our county fair. I think it's important to this county. And so maybe, can we step up the plate and help keep it alive, or what happened? I don't know. Anyway, thank you very much for the invitation.
Supervisor. So these are indeed politicians, ladies and gentlemen. That 30-minute segment took 1 hour. And surprise, surprise. We do have a couple of questions. We'll try to cut them short, but what's interesting